Hi guys, it's Andy, the expedition hiker. Today we're on the summer wild camp in the Peak District. I haven't been in the Peak District for a while. I've been doing the South Downs Way, the Pilgrim's Way, and a couple of local walks, so it's nice to get back out in the Peak District. Now you might be able to see just behind me is Win Hill, so you may know where I am. I'm heading up to Howden Moor, and we're going to go past a few interesting stones along the way, some interesting names for them. But we're heading up towards Lost Lad and Back Tor, and then tomorrow we're going to head down towards along Stanage Edge a little bit. So that should be interesting. Things I'm looking out for. I'm doing another video, but I'm doing some research on that one that's taking me all over the Peak District for that one, which hopefully that'll be out in the autumn. So in the meantime, we're out on this wild camp. It's a nice day. It's slightly breezy, ground's dry, not expected any rain, possibility of 20-mile-an-hour winds later this evening. As you can see, it's cloudy. I think it's going to stay cloudy, so I'm not sure if we'll get a great sunset, but we should get a good old view, especially from Lost Lad. So we started off at Cutthroat Bridge, which is just down there. You can just see, just about to make out the cars at the car park. The road is very busy. Anyway, we're going to head up the hill and then follow it along the edge, and as I say, we're going to pass a few interesting stones, as in what their names are. I think the first one we're coming to is Wheelstone, so let's get going. I think we've got a dancing sheep here. He's doing all sorts. I know, probably looks like scratching his back actually, but moments ago he went near the rock and still moving backwards and forwards. Let's put some music to him. Starting to get away from the road noise. It is a bit of a noisy road. I think that's Stanage Edge up there, so it's part of it. And then we can see Win Hill over there. Now hopefully we should get some good views of the reservoir when we get up the top. So we can see Win Hill, Kinder Scout, Loose Hill, Mantor, Cave Dale. You can see the lot from here. In a moment you'll be able to see the reservoir as well. Derbyshire Reservoir. We're getting up on the top. We're coming towards Wheelstones in a moment. It is a bit breezy, but it's still nice, perfect for walking. I'm enjoying it. So you can just about see in the valley now. You can see the reservoir, where the River Derwent follows through the Derwent Reservoir. So this is the central reservoir. A bit further on there'll be the Howden Reservoir, and that'll head up into the hills towards Swains Head, which is where the River Derwent starts. So hopefully we're going to get some nice views. As I say, it's a bit cloudy. Got some nice sun rays coming down off Kinder Scout there. So we're going to continue heading up past Wheelstone to Back Tor, and then to Lost Lad, and then we'll head up to find some sort of spot to wild camp. There's a good laid out path as well, a bit sandy, but a nice walking path. Now it keeps you away from the peat, because obviously the peat's eroding, so keep people on the path, and the peat will last for centuries to come. And it's looking nice at the moment with all the heather. I've seen quite a few grouse. Actually heard I'm guessing it was a brown snake hissing earlier. Didn't actually see it, but I heard it. So I'm not really sure why all these places got their names. I'm interested to know why Cutthroat Bridge is called Cutthroat Bridge. I'm not sure why this is called the Wheelstones. We are going to the salt cellar. Now I do know why that's called that one. We'll see that in a while. And this is Back Tor. So we're going to head up this way. Salt cellar next, and then hopefully summer next year we will do the Normandy landings, so the beaches along there, and walk from Cherbourg all the way to Le Havre. So just in front we've got the salt cellar. It's not very clear from here, so you can get a better angle, slightly better clearer image, but it's one you have to look back to see it. So we're just reaching the sign that says National Trust Derwent Edge. So it's part of the High Peak Estate. So we're going to continue on, and now we're coming towards Bread of Cakes. Now I forgot, before we get to Bread of Cakes, we come to Dovestone Tor and Dovestone Boulder. Now I'm not really sure which is the boulder. I think it's this one, but there is another one that could be as well. Who knows? It could be these, or it could be that. And here we have it. This is cakes of bread. So actually looking at it, they do look like a bread roll, a couple of them stacked on top of each other. So our next point to go is Back Tor, which is the high point. We've got a blue sky. Well, patchy blue sky, but I'll take it. The other is, if I zoom in, you can just see on top of that stone, we've got a trig point. So this is Back Tor, and that is 538 metres above sea level, the highest point. The high point of Lost Lad. We've got this memorial stone in memory of W.H. Baxby, 1901 to 1977. He enjoyed the Peak District, part of Sheffield Clarion Ramblers. The sun glowing through. Well, it's quite nice. But we need to pitch a tent somewhere. It's actually a bit more open than I thought it was. My plan was to pitch somewhere around here. I thought there was some rocks real close to it. There are some over there, so I'm thinking I might go over there. Right, ladies and gentlemen, sorry, let me tie my hair up. So we're in the tent, finally got in. Not my best setup ever. I couldn't really see what I was doing, quite honestly. It got a bit dark too fast. The tent's up. It is a bit breezy, and it's actually, the temperature's dropped. Now the ground's on. I've worked it out. It's like a sandy peat. It's slightly damp. It's not, the water's not leaking through, through the ground sheet and everything else, but it's a bit cool. But it's a flat pitch, and generally I don't get very many flat pitches, so I'm quite happy with that one. Anyway, today, last time I used the bivvy bag. This time I've got the Trekology sleeping mat. I've got my summer sleeping bag and the Trekology Luff pillow, and then I've got my long johns today. So I've got my long johns to keep me warm tonight. And I think actually it's a bit cooler than I expected. The problem being is that I was aiming to get one of these rocks to protect me. The problem is the wind's coming from the opposite direction, and there wasn't a flat spot on the other side, so I've had to go for this option instead. Plus the thing is that we're not far off the actual route. By 6 AM there'll probably be people wandering about, so I need to be up, tent down, before they start wandering about. So it's early night, no Netflix tonight, and I'm going to crack a beer open, and I think we'll crack one open now if I can find where the beers are. So we've got Hobgoblin tonight, and it is obviously an IPA. It's I'm not sure what particular blend of this one it is. It is the like greeny label, if you've ever seen that one before. They are 440 milliliters, so reasonable size. I hate the small Coca-Cola can type sizes, so this is just reasonable size to go for. The only problem is I'm going to open this up in a second. I've knocked it a couple of times, so it might go everywhere, so we'll hopefully it won't. Yes, it will. There we go. I went down the wrong hole. Well, that's nice. Now I bought 2 of these, and I think I want to drink one tonight, maybe one for breakfast, who knows. So with that, I'm going to get some food on in a minute. I'm going to get my night layers on as well. So with that, I'll say cheers for now. I'll maybe catch you back in a little while. The nearest weather forecast I can get for here is Sheffield, which is about 10 miles away, and that's in the middle of the city. I'm about 550 meters above sea level. It is a bit breezy, so we'll see how we get on. Not too cold at the moment, but if it stays like this, we should be okay. If not, we might have a few problems. So with that, I've had my food. Pop me to the flapjack in a minute. So I'm going to get in my bed because it's about 10:30 now. So not much to do when you're out on top of a hill. It's an interesting hat combination I've got tonight. So we've got me buff, keeping my neck warm, and my ears warm, and it will be covering my eyes in a bit when I get in the sleeping bag. So yeah, it's like old Mother Hubbard. Well, that's the look for tonight. Right, so with that, I'm going to say good night from me, and I'll see you in the morning. So night night. We have a little bit of a problem. Well, according to the forecast, it's no more than 10 mile an hour winds. This is not much different to when I was up at Bleaklow at Christmas at 60 mile an hour winds. Tent's going all over the place. The bottom part of the tent is collapsed. It's like a bivvy. I'm like sleeping in a bivvy. The frame is collapsed. I think it's because the ground's so soft, the tent pegs have just pulled out. I've been out, I secured it, and 10 minutes later it collapsed again. So I think we're just going to persevere, and hopefully we've got a fly sheet
still sitting on the tent at the morning. Otherwise it's blown across the landscape and never to be seen again. There we go. So I'll get back to you if it gets worse. Hopefully not. Morning. Well, we survived, and it was a bit breezy throughout the night. What can I say? But it's been quite cold than that. My sleeping mat went down 2 or 3 times throughout the night, so I think I need a new mat. This one's just about done. Anyway, we're going to get up. It's about 5:30. I want to be off ski by about 6:30. Right, I'll see you in a moment.
Right guys, so we are packed away. Now, you didn't see much of me packing away this morning, but you've seen it before. As I mentioned before, last night I parked up quite close to the trail. So I wanted to get up and get off as soon as possible. Now the tent was down by, I think, 6:15, and we're ready for the off, which is now 6:30 a.m. As you can see, it is a bit of a cloudy one today. All the way around, we've got clouds everywhere. Now, it is starting to lift, so we might be lucky later on, but at the moment, not much at all. So today, we're heading down to Foulstone Road, which will take us, which is a track, it's not a road as such, I think it's just named as a road, down to Strines Reservoir, then over past Sudworth Edge and then Sudworth Hall, then heading up to Moscar, crossing the road, and then we'll get up onto Stanage Edge, and then we'll head down towards Stanage Pole, and then I'm going to head down into Hathersage for the end of today. So today we've got about 13 miles, I think. So let's get going. And as usual, leave no trace. Okay, nothing there. My litter is actually strapped to the back of my rucksack. Once I do get down to a possible bin somewhere, I will put it there. Take your litter home. So it is quite cold at the moment. I've got all my layers on at the moment. Even going to put my gloves on in a minute, but I'm sure it'll warm up soon. And this is the highest point that we're on for, well, the rest of today. So we'll get up to Stanage Edge. I think Stanage Edge is 435, so at the moment we are at around 550. So let's get going. So we've got a good start. I've got some snacks that I'm going to eat for breakfast, some trail bars, and also once we get down to lower level, probably down near Moscow or something, about 8 a.m, 8:30, we'll probably stop and have a brew. So let's keep going, get back on the trail. I'll give you a quick glimpse where we are now. That's the route we walked yesterday. And there's Loose Hill, Hollins Cross and Back Tor, and then looking over to Kinder Plateau. Now moving across, we've got Bleak Low, and then up there is Back Tor. So we can just about make out where we're going for most of today. So we're heading down the Foulstone Road, which is obviously, you can see it's not really a road, probably an old Roman road or something like that, although it's not that straight. Then we're heading down to this woodlands in front, which is Foxcar and also Brogging Plantation. Once we get down to there, you can just about, well, the bit of green grass in the centre of the picture, just beyond that is the reservoir, Strines Reservoir. Then we're going to move across, see just a tower, and we're going to pass that, and that's Sudworth Edge. Then just to the right of that is Sudworth Hall. Then we'll follow the trail to Moscow, crossing the A57, and then we'll head up to the point in the middle of the picture now, which is the edge of Stanage Edge. And we'll follow Stanage Edge for a good part of the rest of the day after that. So when you walk along a track like this, with all the heathland and heading towards the woodland area and the hills, grouse, the noise of grouse in the background, it actually reminds me of the West Island Way. Pity there's not a whiskey distillery nearby that I could try out. Do a nice tipple. As I look down and see all these grouse butts, there's what, 10 along here, seen with the black doors, and then like a mossy circular shape. I was actually thinking, I wonder what the chances are of sleeping in one. Get a bit of a top, put it on the top. It's got man-made walls, and it's probably about the right length, probably about 2.5, 3 meters long, about 2 meters wide. Just put a tarp on the floor and a tarp on the top. Could be a good idea for next wild camp. A bit of a lighter load as well. Won't need to take a full tent, just a tarp. View of the reservoir, and then looking up towards the tower. Once we get down to the reservoir, that's the lowest point of the day, and then it's climbing for the rest of the day really, until we get to the flat part of Stanage Edge. We're just crossing over Strines Bridge as we walk down the road towards the reservoir. Well, that's different. Just an orange light flashing on the floor in the middle of a meadow. We've got no idea what that's for. I presume the orange light means it's a hazard, so to keep aware, but why it's flashing there, I have no idea. This is Sudworth Tower, also known as Strines Tower, and also Boots Folly. Now, funny enough, although it looks really old, well, it is in a way, and then it's not. It was actually built in 1927, so only just under 100 years ago. But you would think, looking at it, it was built 300 or 400 years ago. And it was really, because the stone is material that came from another farm locally. And it was actually built as a job creation scheme. Anyway, next we're heading towards, you can just about make it out, the rooftops, that's Sudworth Hall. So across the road from Sudworth Hall is this building I've just noticed. I would say it's an ice house for keeping meats and dairy items cold. Used to put straw and ice in there, and then they would keep things cool for a period of time. It's like an original type of refrigerator. So we see, well, Boots Folly, as Charles Boot built it. Then the building having its roof done is Sudworth Hall. And I mentioned that the Boots eventually went on to live at Bent's house, which is this house down here. Anyway, we're heading along this little road for a moment, then we're going to head up to Moscow. So this is the entrance to Bent's house. Charles Boots eventually lived. An interesting post box. George Regine. Don't see many of those ones actually. And he became king because of his brother abdicated. Because he married, well, I don't know if he actually married her, but Mrs. Simpson, an American divorcee, he gave up his title to be with her. So as we reach the busy A57, we look back and we can see Moscow Lodge. Now we are now, we're heading this way. And we're going to go up to there, Stanage Edge. So we're going to follow the Sheffield Country Walk now. Well, we've reached the top. Well, near enough. We're about 4:35 at the moment. It does go up to about 4:50. You can just about see Lady Bower Reservoir in the front. And we're going to continue now along this way. And hopefully I'm going to find a spot to have that brew that I was intended to have at the reservoir. Still haven't had it. Now you can see numerous rocks at the lower part of Stanage Edge, and we will do as we continue along. Now some of them are boulders that have just fallen away from the actual cliff edge, and the others are actually old quarries. There's loads of little old quarries along Stanage Edge and Burbage Edge, and they're quarrying for gritstone, so the stones that we see on the cliff edge. So just down there is where we had our winter wild camp, where we pitched for the wild camp, just down at that rock there. That rock. So that rock just about there is where we did our winter wild camp. So if you want to see that video, I'll leave a link to it here. So the building in front is probably an old ammunition store, or it could have been the foreman's hut for the quarries. Because the ammunition buildings used to be a little bit away from the actual quarry itself. Obviously there would be blasting and sparks catch hold of the ammunition store. As we look along the edge, we've just come across a couple of these. Now I've come across these before. This one's noted as 24. There's another one just to the left. There are little pools. And they've got like drainage channels off them. I don't know if it's a trough for animals or what they are. I've only seen about 7 or 8 of them in the past. They are dotted all along this edge. Now that I've taken note of a couple of them, I'm spotting them everywhere. I think there's another one just over there. So this one's 17. So we just reached High Neb, which is the highest point on the Stanage Edge. I can't remember how tall. I think it's 455 metres above sea level. As always, it is the thing to touch the trig. So, trig touched. That's High Neb. Right, next point we're going to head up to is Stanage Pole, not far away from here. I never get fed up of seeing the views from Stanage Edge. Shelter in the middle of nowhere. There is another one on the opposite side, but it seems that somebody decided to leave some feces there, and he's also left his underwear and half a dozen tissues that's all blowing all over the landscape. Didn't care for the environment. But we're on this side, it's a bit cleaner on this side, so we're going to make a brew. So we just stopped for a bit of a brew and a flapjack, a bit of a snack. Long time coming. It was meant to be breakfast, but it's now actually lunch. A little bit later than planned. So we're having a brew with a view. It's a great view of Stanage Edge over there and Burbage Edge. Looking down just near High Neb, there's actually this little stone hut, and it's I think it's obviously an old cattle building, and it's split on either side, so it's a bit like a cluster cottage, and well, a semi-detached in a way. It's a bit like a bush shelter, it's a bit of a shelter and out of the wind at the moment. It is a bit breezy up here at the moment. Now, I have been told that I pronounce Hathersage wrong, but I'm not sure how else you would pronounce it. Hathersage, Hathersage. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but it's Hathersage in the Hope Valley of Derbyshire, and hopefully you'll know where that is. And if you don't know where it is, the map is in the description of the route under these 2 days. So this is a nice weekend wild camp, although it's more of the walk than the actual wild camp itself, but it's nice to get out in the Peak District once again. So with that, I think we're going to head on in a minute. We're going to head on along Stanage Edge for a little while, then we're going to head down to Stanage Pole, and then I'm going to head down towards Northlees Haw, and it's in reference to the Bronte sisters. Actually, I believe stayed there at some point, and then we'll head down into Hathersage where we'll catch the train. So I don't know about the timetable, but I've been sitting there ages waiting for this bus. I don't know if it's going to turn up sometime soon. The only problem I have noticed, there's no road around here. So looking over Stanage Edge and then heading towards Derbyshire Edge, and then heading down there we can see Hathersage in the valley. It's a bit busy around here. You can see loads of climbers and weekend walkers. Most of them wearing trainers, no rucksack, not prepared at all. Fortunately it's meant to be dry today, but I would always carry a waterproof and some food and water just to be safe. This is interesting, this style, so there's no horses, bikes or vehicles. It was a struggle to get over there on foot. How you get a vehicle over there, I don't know. We can see the works over there. That's a limestone works by the village next to it is called Bradwell. Now there is a cave in Bradwell, well, a mine. It's interesting because it's just this door that looks like it's going to somebody's garden, and then there's a cave behind it. And then we've got Abney Moor, and then looking over towards Hathersage. So this is Stanage Pole, an ancient boundary marker. And what a nice pole it is. So if it's abbreviated, it's Stan's Pole. So he must be quite proud of himself, old Stan. It has got some markings in the stones. Well, it's that wrote in 1880, I'm not sure. 1631, was that the time or the year? 1697, HH, well we saw H earlier carved on a stone. Lots of years actually. 1631 being the earliest. I have to scratch this into the rocks, must have taken some time. Okay, so is that the earliest? 1168? I'm not so sure. So this is Stanage Pole. So an ancient boundary marker. There's a for sale sign. I'm not sure what the sales sign's for. Is it to buy the rights of Stanage Pole? Is it to buy the fence, the field? I don't really know. Stanage Lodge, viewing by appointment. So I think just down there, near those trees, is Stanage Lodge itself. Quite a grand house of that, although it does look a bit derelict from here. Looks like it needs some tender loving care. So anybody looking on the market for a property, then here we got Stanage Lodge. It's on the market for a cool 2 million. It's a former shooting lodge. 8 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, 3 reception rooms, extensive outbuildings and 7 acres of land. So probably where we are now, this little wall in front of us, is part of the estate within. But it's yours for a cool 2 million. Jesus. As you can see, it's not easy to look at the camera and walk down a stony path. It's not a yellow brick road, that's for sure. So we left Stanage Edge and now we're heading to North Lees Hall. Well, that's something I've never seen before. This thing on the footpath gate. It's a remote sentry. So I presume it counts how many people walk through this gate. Interesting. Now, although there's been a building here since 1306, this building wasn't built till about 1594. And it was famous for 2 or 3 things, really. Robert Smythson, who built Hardwick Hall in Derbyshire, he also designed this building. I've done a video on Hardwick Hall in the past, so if you want to see that video, I'll leave a link to here. Now, from 1594, it was extended to look a little bit like a castle. And in 1845, it became famous because of Charlotte Bronte, the author, because she visited Hathersage a few times to visit her friend, and they stayed near the vicarage in Hathersage. But she came and visited the hall on a few occasions, and this gave her the inspiration for Thornhill Hall in a famous novel, Jayne Eyre. And we're next going to head down to Bronte Cottage. Now, if you want to stay in this place for yourself, you can, because actually it's an Airbnb. So if you would like to stay in a castle for a weekend, then this could be the place for you. North Lees Hall in Derbyshire. So this is Bronte Cottage. Now, I'm not entirely sure if it's just called Bronte Cottage because Charlotte Bronte used to come to the area. Right guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this one, this little jolly in the Peat District, a weekend of walking and another wild camp under my belt. How many I've done, I have no idea. Probably about 5 or 6 on YouTube, but I've done hundreds in the past. So with that, I'd like to just say thank you for joining me on this one, and hopefully you've enjoyed it. We're heading into Hathersage now. We've got about half a mile to go. I'll leave it here because it's a nice tranquil spot. So until next time, take care. I'll see you soon. So bye hikers.